I'm here with Robbie Thorpe. I've listened to his program 3CR and learned more than I could ever have learned if I hadn't listened to his stuff. So Robbie, can you tell me, man, your family, the Thorpe family, they're quite a well-known family within the indigenous community of Victoria?
Well, my real name is Duran Bunjaleni Burra Mundundarung. Right? That means that my totems are, my main totems are the wedge-tailed eagle, my mother's side, and the pelican on my father's side. This is the land under, this is the land under Bunjil, the land of the Kulin Nation. To the east is the land under Burran, the pelican. They're the main tribal
When you say east, how far east?
From about Warrigal onwards.
Okay.
So that's my real identity. And we were given the name Thorpe when the squatters turned up, and we lived close to a family called the Thorpes. So we become the Thorpe Blacks. That's how my father got that name, and his father and grandfather. So, yeah, that's who I am.
Your names were imposed by colonialism.
That's right. And Duran means hands of stone.
Right.
I don't know if you know who Roberto Duran was, the boxer.
Robbie, you've spoken about this at length. Now, recently I was going home listening to the ABC, and they said that the current official academic position and how many Indigenous people were here in Victoria went from 30,000 to 60,000. And I go, wow. But, bro, it's not even 60,000. What are your estimates of how many Indigenous people were here?
I don't think people realise the gravity of crime scene Australia is. You know, this is a huge continent. Victoria was very, what they call Victoria, was the land of plenty, as they called it. There was 38 tribes, broken down to so many clans, family groups. Every square inch of this was occupied. So I think everything they do is grossly underestimated in terms of numbers. I'd say there'd be about 10 million Aboriginal people who were on this continent before British colonialism. So what are we talking about? This would have been one of the most densely populated places with one of the strongest cultures here. Now, I believe that they wanted to take off the head of the religion here, which is a powerful religion, from out of Victoria. And this is what they plotted, schemed, scanned and planned what they were going to do here, the British. You know, it was very late in the day in terms of colonialism.
Yep.
It was the last continent colonised, so they were very adept on how to exterminate the original peoples. They had the Americas in experience, India, Africa. By the time they got here, they were very well equipped in how to exterminate people. So that history is still yet to be uncovered. But every time they look, it goes back a little bit further in terms of the time we've been here and the numbers of our people who are not here with us anymore.
Yeah, and one of the things also the colonialists do is they downplay the economy of the place that they've ripped off in the first place. Now, you guys, one of the things they have always said here is that, well, you're just strictly hunter-gatherers. Now, from what I've heard now, that's not the case, Robbie. Is it true that there were actually villages and somewhere in the Western District?
Highly advanced people. We had an incredible understanding of astronomy, you know, the stars, and we had houses here. We had structures that go back older than anybody else on this planet. It's all been destroyed.
And there was agriculture too.
Agriculture, we pine, all those sort of things. You know, the true history of this country, people don't know nothing about it. They said it was empty.
Well,
they said it was empty, the land called Terra Nullis, a legal fiction that was determined by the High Court. So your occupation's based on lies.
So let me just recount, listening to the ABC, I came upon a talk which was about the people who were marooned on the 90 Mile Beach, going from Tasmania back to Sydney, they waited and waited for them to be rescued. So then they trekked all the way up to Sydney, and they say things like, "We came upon a village of the natives. We could smell roast duck. We came upon their house. There were sweet cakes in there."
That's right.
So we've gone from that.
You mentioned the 90 Mile Beach. I'm from Croatangalang, which is on the 90 Mile Beach.
Right.
When Cook came across from Aotearoa, New Zealand, that's where he hit first. There's a place called Point Hicks on the 90 Mile Beach. We met him there and resisted his opportunity to land.
Mm-hmm.
His foreign cannons at us, and our people asked their elders, "What? We've got strangers out here making these loud noises." And the elders come back and said, "This is the beginning of the end of the world as you know it." So we understood from that time what was going on. And 70 years later, we were basically exterminated and living in concentration camps. So we understood that. So that's where the narrative begins. The British colonialism. Cook on the 90 Mile Beach. Point Hicks. Hicks was in the crow's nest.
Yeah. And he's first to see it.
He was the first one to see the land. So there's a bit of history. It didn't start in Botany Bay, it started here. And then if you go back, what happened in Victoria, 1802, was Lieutenant Collins. That street there is called Collins Street. Lieutenant Collins. The first little occupation was at Sorrento. There's graves of convicts there. We in Buckley escaped from there and lived with our tribe for 30 years. It's an incredible story there, right? Because he was a human being. He had Aboriginal children. He lived with us. The time Batman got, he'd lost his English language. All that is an incredible story there. That's why I say Buckley's hope. They thought he had no hope living with the Aboriginal people, but he went on to become an elder living with our mob. He done the dirty on us when Batman turned up. He ended up
betraying you?
Betrayed us and went back and died a lonely old man in Hobart.
And you could have lived the respected elder in your community.
Yeah. So there's an incredible story there. So it's all lies. We're a sophisticated society of nothing. We didn't need to be Christianised or civilised by these backward dark age pigs from the Northern Hemisphere. We don't need to be managed by...
The good guys.
We don't need to be managed
guys.
by a dark age garbage society. Disgusting the way they even treat their own people. They're putting their kids down chimneys and shit like that. They were demonic.
In mind, yeah.
You know, but that came to us in 1770, this demon of a society.
Robbie.
And that's what it has been ever since.
Robbie, we've gone a bit longer, but doesn't matter. This is my last question, bro. Is the importance of information and knowing one's history? Because what they try and do is they erase everything of yours, your memory, your self-esteem and all that. Is that one reason why you've been, in my opinion, one of the greatest educators on 3CR? How long have you been doing it?
Well, what inspired me was people like the late Dr. Bruce McGuinness, Gary Foley.
One of my heroes, brother.
Yeah, they taught me the importance of education. I learned a lot from them fellas. I used to go to every one of Foley's lectures. I learned a lot from that. I used to run an organisation called Koori Information Centre.
Yeah.
It was totally independent, even of Aboriginal. We refused to become incorporated into the system. We were totally independent. Because the power of education, as you say, is what it's all about. An educated society is a liberated society, you know.
Knowledge is power, bro.
And knowledge is power. Wasn't is mucked. All of that stuff. So
how long?
I'm a great believer in that. I've been actually doing stuff since 1982 in terms of education. Yeah. And fiercely independent too. You can't believe nothing in this system here. It's an institution of racism here.
Yep.
It's chronically racist in the extreme. So to combat that, you need to stay outside of it and have an independent voice. It's not easy to do. You don't attract any government funding or anything like that. So you've got to do it yourself. But I believe in the Australians. Some good people out there. There's some good people out there, and once they do know the truth, we can liberate everyone in the process, and we can beat the crown out of our country. Most other countries around the world say they're independent when they boot the British crown off their land.
Yep.
Well, that hasn't happened here yet. As you can see, we've still got the king of the monarch is a British king. So that's what we need to do. Boot them, then we can talk Turkey.
Yep.
And
so the final question, which just came up as a result of our conversation, I want to thank you for doing it, brother. But a lot of white people think, oh, racism is finished. No one's racist anymore. Now, I don't know what the society they're living in, because I'm a white man living in that society, and white people open up to me because they think I'm like them. So I find racism is not only alive and well, but it's still being celebrated. The heroes of racism are the heroes of our culture.
Well, one of my quotes is, Australia's a Nazi wet dream. All right? It's disgusting. Everything about this place is racist in the extreme. It's based on terra nullius, a legal fiction, right?
What does that mean for people who don't know, bro?
Well,
there's nobody here.
Terra nullius, land, empty.
Of nothing, yeah.
So the whole premise of everything, every institution, including the courts, is based on this monumental lie, right? They haven't got a right to make law for our people. We have law. We're lawful people. What turned up here was mindless, lawless people, and creating their own as they're going along. So, and it's all racist. Everything's racist in this country. You haven't got the right to make laws for our people. Who the hell do you think you are?
Well, you still got their names, their racist names is how you identified, bro.
It's chronically racist. It's disgusting. It inspired people like Hitler, Australia, and Israel. All these people. You can be like this too. You can go and wipe out a people and take their land, right? So it's everything about it. Have a look at it.
And justify it by saying, well, they're primitive, they're nobodies, they're not worthy of anything. That's one of the most horrible things that colonialism
has done. Well, that's what they do. That's the propaganda that they push. All you got to do is have a good look. And the further they look into the history of this country, they see how sophisticated and intelligent our people really were.
Speaking of astronomy, which you mentioned earlier,
yep.
Not recently, the past couple of years, a couple of German astronomers said, this indigenous story that they tell, one of the indigenous people in Central Australia said, we only discovered that in the 50s, what they're alluding to. So
that's all of that.
It's true, bro. Part of the vilification is also abuse of one's intelligence.
We had a sustainable society. We would have lived forever. Look what we got now. Toxic waste dump. Right? It's disgusting. They trashed this land to the degree where they've killed themselves. They've committed suicide. I've got a saying called, if you kill the customary law holders, the guardians, the caretakers and the custodians of a place, you're going to cause ecocide because there's no one caring for a land no more. And when you cause ecocide, you're committing suicide. So this is the trajectory that Australia's on. The genocide, ecocide, suicide, biocide projection. So that's why we fight so hard. We say that Aboriginal means from the beginning.
Yeah.
The beginning.
From the original place.
Right, the original people.
Correct.
It's true. We got a star there in the Southern Cross called the Fire Star. Right, that's the beginning. That's the spark that began, where it all began. But Aussies don't want to know that. They've got the little quarter acre takers here, and escaping the hellhole that they came from. They can go back now because you're not at war back home. You can go now. We want our land back. We want it restored. How you found it. We want restoration. And then if you can't restore it, you've got to give us restitution for the damages.
Done.
The War Crimes Commission and the back rent. I'm talking $254 trillion That's only just for my tribe.
You know, I want to mention, and if you want to continue, you can add to it.
I've got to go.
Yeah, but I want to mention
Camp
this one
Sovereignty.
thing. I want to mention, for people who are watching, that we were taught when I was at school that when the guys went over the Blue Mountains, they said, wow, this place looks like a Lord's garden. And that was what the indigenous people had created.
Yes.
That was the nature. That's how they had created their nature, like a Lord's garden.
Yeah.
That's in their words, folks.
Well,
Anyway,
there's a place
3CR.
called Eden there too.
Yeah,
You know, this is such a beautiful place. They've trashed it senselessly because they don't care. Australians drive it like they stole it, right? Now they realise, well, all the blacks are gone and this is ours and we've trashed it. They're dumb, right? Anyway.
3CR, are you still on?
Still on there from Monday, Wednesday and Friday, all beginning at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Brother, I appreciate this. Thank you very much.
No worries. I hope you got some of that.